we kick things off with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones joining us on the Diamond Factory hotline. And Stephen, how about that 27-13 victory last night? How you feeling after that win in Tennessee?
Well, anytime you get a win in the NFL, it's a big deal. Go on the road. I can tell you that team's well coached. Coach Vrabel's a good friend of mine. We serve on the competition committee together. And I know, everybody wants to point to the fact he was missing a lot of his guys. But, all these guys get paid, and they're all NFL players. And Mike had them ready to go. And, they played really, aggressive on defense. They did a good job against the run. But overall, to come away with a big win like that is a big deal. We got some things we have to continue to work to clean up on, especially the turnovers. But do seem to be taking the ball away good. And like I said, overall, we like where we're headed.
Stephen, we've been talking to you really all season about your offensive line depth. And, you're one of those guys, I remember, like I say, working with you, it was about continuity. But this year it was about playing a lot of different guys. Is the fact that you've played so many of those guys, is it made it even better for you guys to make adjustments like when you have an injury to Biotish like you did last night?
Well, I just think, as you know, Brian, depth is important. You do love continuity, which we had a lot of that early. And, for the first, 60% of the season, we had our same group out there game in and game out, which is, what you look to. But, at the end of the day, we all know this is attrition in the NFL. All 32 deal with it. You have injuries, and you make it work. Obviously, we were, so fortunate to get a Hall of Famer back in Tyron Smith about the time we have our first injury, and he stepped in and, just looked like as comfortable as an old shoe last night playing our right tackle for us. And then we have the injury to Biotish and a guy like Connor McGovern, who's been, great for us in terms of being versatile, playing right guard, left guard, then, of course, doing a great job at center last night. But we also believe you got to get your best five on the field. And, of course, that required everybody to scooch over a notch and move Jason Peters, who's had a Hall of Fame career and played left tackle. That's just part of it. Hopefully we dodged the bullet and we can get Tyler back for the playoffs and get everybody back in their spots. But I do think you want your best five out there, and certainly, that's a really solid group when you look across the line out there to Zach Martin and, a Tyron Smith and a Jason Peters. All those guys are probably Hall of Fame players and, a first rounder in Tyler Smith. So we're fortunate to have it, but we also agree with you, Brian, that you love to have continuity as well, but you don't always get that in the NFL.
Stephen, if I could circle back, you were talking about Biotish for the playoffs. Is there something from your MRI already? Are you still waiting those results?
No, we've gotten it back, and feel like he's got a real chance to make it back for our first playoff game. So we'll see how that comes along. Obviously, everybody saw the injury on TV. It's a rough-looking deal, but he's had that high ankle before on the same ankle, and believe it or not, when it's the second time around, those guys tend to recover a little faster, a little quicker than they did the time before. So we'll just have to see. Tyler's a tough guy who's competitive as hell and wants to be out there.
Stephen Jones with us here on 105 Through the Fan. You mentioned the turnovers, and I know we've asked you about this the last couple of weeks, but, with this becoming a trend, how much of a concern are the turnovers?
I think, it's at the end of the day, I think we got one of the best in the business, and Dak Prescott, he knows what he needs to do. Some of these turnovers, as we all know, are not always the quarterback's fault. I mean, you get tipped balls, you get drop balls that go into the defender's hands, but he also can do some things better, which he knows better than anybody. And certainly we're in a great position here as we head into the last week to just continue to sharpen up what our game's all about. It's hard to win in this league. We had, obviously a different schedule the last couple of weeks, playing on a Saturday night on Christmas Eve and then a quick turnaround on a Thursday. You just, you don't ever take for granted these big W's. And, we've won now 12 games again, 2 years in a row. It's a great accomplishment, but we all know we got bigger, bigger goals for this team, and I think we'll continue to work to refine our game and do what we need to do to have success in the playoffs.
Steven, I was going to ask, can you remember a game as weird in terms of the circumstances where it is a off emotional victory on Christmas Eve and then quick turnaround on the road versus a team that's really not trying? It's late in the year, so these quick turnaround games are even that much more difficult when it comes to the attrition and whatnot. And then the game certainly matters for you, but then you know that Sunday things can change with the Eagles. So it just felt like last night was one of the weirder circumstances surrounding the games.
Well, you always dealt challenges during the course of a season. All 32 are as to when you play your games, what the circumstances are when you play them. As I said, Coach Vrabel's one of the best in the business at getting his team ready to go. You could see they came out there from the opening whistle and got after us. And it was a battle out there. It didn't come easy, and everybody wants to point to they were missing a handful of starters and, quite a few players. Well, we were missing some players as well. That's part of the NFL. And, if you come away with a big win in the NFL, you take it every time. We all know how hard it is to win in this league. And, people have to do what we're doing at times, which is make do and next man up type mentality. And Coach Vrabel's one of the best at that. So we're real pleased with the big win, and we know we got work to do. Hopefully the guys will get off their feet here for, the next 3 days and get their feet up under them and get ready to play a really good Washington football team that's trying to get in the playoffs and continue to get our game right as we start to point toward the playoffs after we play Washington.
Steven, before we let you go out of here, with T.Y. Hilton, was when you were looking or hunting for a receiver, all the stuff with Odell Beckham, and then now you get T.Y. Hilton, was this what you were looking for or what you had in mind for that type of player, the one that makes those loose plays, gets you the first downs, makes some tough catches? Is this really what you envisioned and for that position when you went out and got this type of player?
Absolutely. I think you look at guys like Jason Peters and T.Y. Hilton, their resumes, just outstanding. What they bring to the room, their presence in the room. I know Jason's all year been a great get leader for a guy like Tyron Smith. Certainly T.Y. Hilton comes in here. I'm sure we all saw the comment CD made about him. He's a pro's pro. On top of that, he still plays the game at a real high level, and is certainly bringing something to the dance here in terms of making us a better football team. We're very fortunate to get him, and as you can see, he's ready. He's ready to play right away and help us right away. And, that chemistry is only going to get better, and certainly his leadership in that wide receiver room, which was a young room to start with, for him to come in there and be able to, lead these guys and really be a mentor. I think it's a huge plus. But because of that, he's also, as we saw last night, really make plays for us.
Steven, we're at the Rally House in Fort Worth right now, so if you need to slide by and pick up a Saints jersey for Sunday, we'll go ahead and help you out with that.
Appreciate it, guys. I hope y'all have a happy New Year's and a great weekend.